Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. It's great to see you here. I'm excited for day two. I really loved day one. So let's just get jumping right into day two. So when people started signing up for Brett's free checklist, Brett's a guy I know, he felt like he had won the lottery. He was so excited. He had finally figured out how to get people to his email list. I mean, people were finding his checklist and they were asking for it. And in doing so, they were joining his email list. And he was thrilled. It felt like magic to him because, of course, that's what happens, right? People sign up for your free gift and then they start buying stuff. Woohoo! Actually, no, that's not exactly what happens. And Brett soon found that out. He sent email after email after email for his new course, for his VIP weekend, for the planner that he'd created. Crickets. Remember our crickets slide? That's the slide of doom, crickets. He'd gotten the formula wrong. It's not build your list and then sell. There's a missing link. There's this huge gap between building your email list and selling your products and your programs, and it needs your special and personal touch. And filling in that gap in the middle makes all the difference in the world to the amount of money that you'll make. It is the part of making money with your email list that almost everyone gets wrong. And that's what today's workshop is all about. So welcome to your audience, your way. This is part two of the 3 workshops that I am hosting this week to walk you through the process and the opportunity that becomes available to you when you build an engaged online audience. So I want to stop right here and make sure that everybody's audio mic gets closed so we don't hear any extraneous dog barks and all that good stuff. You might hear my dog bark. And so you can do that, Chung, and then I will reopen my mic.
All right, give me a second. I'm going to mute all.
There we go. I'm super excited you're here. Before I go on, I just want to say that is Chung. In case you guys don't remember Chung from Monday, Chung is a member, very valuable member of my team. He is going to be here moderating for us, asking questions, calling on people a little bit. And then Elizabeth is our behind the scenes goddess. She is the one answering all your questions. I do want you to treat them well. Don't overwhelm them with questions in the chat. It's much better if you can use chat just to participate in the webinar than to talk amongst yourself and have extraneous conversations. So use chat judiciously. So day one, we talked about using your archetype to build your audience. I have a little bit of information for you on that. And day two, which is today, we are talking about plugging this critical gap between attraction and sales. And day 3 on Friday, we'll be talking about bringing that together, monetizing your audience with offers that they just can't resist. So today we're going to talk about the 4 things that your audience must believe before they will buy, and a kind of a surprising way to win their trust. I'll go over a simple 5 to 10 minute trick for creating really useful content that your audience is going to go wild for, and we'll do a little bit of that here during the workshop. The right way and the wrong way to share personal information with your audience, and it kind of AKA how to build a really good authentic connection without oversharing. What a marriage proposal gone wrong can teach you about marketing your business, and the hidden danger in getting really good at email nurture, which if you get caught up in this, it will stop you from earning a pretty penny, no matter how good your emails are. So your homework was to let me know which archetype you are, and also which of the platforms mentioned for your archetype you most align with. And we've had to date just under 250 entries. So that's awesome. And all of you will be entered in the grand prize drawing on Friday. Now, I had said that today was your deadline. If any of you want to still get a second entry, like you're going to do today's homework and get an entry into the drawing on Friday, but you want to have a second entry to double your chances, I'm going to let you still go ahead and complete Monday's assignment. So this is the slide for Monday's assignment. You'll go and take the quiz if you haven't already, and then email me with the information about your primary archetype and then the platform that you most align with. That's all you need to do. So please feel free to keep entering. The more the merrier. This is how it ended up. You can see here that the artist, very interesting, was quite the takeaway. That was the far and away most, I don't want to say most popular, but most prevalent archetype. 24% of you identified as the artist. Next was the host at 19%. And after that, the talent at 17%. These are all pretty close together, right? And the journalist at 15%. And then fewer of you were organizer and connector, and about the same with the unicorn. And somebody had, in the last session, somebody asked about the unicorn, and did I have anybody that I could say was a unicorn and, you know, could indicate their website and all that kind of stuff. It's much easier for me to say it this way. A lot of my students think that they're unicorns when they come in, because they really are kind of all over the place and don't really know what they want, where they want to go, what they want to do, what they most align with. And a lot of our work in the beginning of the course is in discovery, in discovering that. So there are very few people that end up as unicorns. A lot of people start out as unicorns. So, and the other thing I wanted to do is to remind you that the archetypes are here to help you figure out what your way of audience building is. It's not to constrict you. It's not to say you must only do these or you can't do those. It's not that. It's more about, you know, what you might naturally gravitate to and what would be helpful in terms of how it operates for supporting your style. There was a person who wrote in as the host, said she, you know, did the quiz and came out as the host, which she related to, but she did not relate to the two social media channels, which were Twitter and Clubhouse. And she said, I'm not interested at all in using them. And that's totally fine. Like, as a journalist, my social media platform would be Facebook. I'm not interested in using Facebook either. That's not what those are there for. They're there to say, if you choose to use social media, these are some that would be really good for you based on the archetype that you are. So don't worry if you're like, but I don't want to do these. You don't have to. You just have to find one thing that works for you and do it well. And then some of you figured out how to figure out your secondary archetype if you were interested in that. And others of you had questions on how to do that. So if you did have trouble figuring out your secondary archetype, send another email to Lizzie, because now we have a key that you can use to go back and discover your secondary archetype. Okay. Oh, and Lizzie, if you can put in the email address into chat right now, clientcare@clairecommunications.com. All right. So just as a reminder, the grand prize drawing is a spot in my course, Your Audience, Your Way, 16-week program. And Monday's homework, if you did it and submitted it, will get you one entry. Today's homework will get you a second entry. So you want to do both. Okay, ready to get started on that missing link between getting someone to your list and then having them buy your stuff? Raise your hand or type yes in the chat if you are ready for that. I'm actually going to start in Italy. Okay, I love Italy. It's my favorite country, and Rome is my favorite city in all of the world. And here I was in my short hair sitting at a cafe on my favorite plaza, my favorite piazza, called Piazza del Popolo. And I was having a Campari on ice, which is my favorite drink to have in Italy. And I just love watching the people go by and watching the scenery. And this guy came up to me and he started trying to get me to go with him to the big basilica across the street. You can see it there in the back, and get married. I mean, he seemed harmless enough, but ew, right? So why am I telling you about this? Well, this is what happens when you immediately start selling to your new audience members without nurturing the relationship first, without dating and bringing them flowers, so to speak. That is the gap, nurturing. And today I'm going to show you two really powerful ways to nurture your audience so that they naturally want to buy from you. And as I said, we're going to do two exercises that are going to help you get started right away in that nurturing gap. Get going, because you should. Unfortunately, it took me several years of ignorance and then several more years of trial and error to figure this part out. And as I discovered, it turns out that I was the creep proposing marriage. I was the one asking people to buy from me virtually every time I sent them an email. There was no like, how do you do? Let's get to know one another. There were no flowers and chocolates, so to speak. It took me a while to see this. And I attribute it partly to my background. I had been a journalist for nearly 20 years when I started my business. I was a newspaper reporter at the San Diego Tribune and the Orange County Register here in California. I freelanced for newspapers and magazines around the country. I even won an investigative journalism award. So to me, there was journalism writing and there was marketing writing, and never the twain shall meet, right? And now that I had a business, I was supposed to be marketing. And a lot of us think that marketing is pushing our products. So no, that didn't work. And it won't work for you, because true nurturing, the kind that leads to a great relationship with your audience and that makes them more receptive to your offers, is far closer to education than marketing. And it's far closer to sharing with a friend than marketing. So when I finally started, it was like a surrender almost. When I started generously educating my audience and writing to friends, which I'm going to show you how to do today, my business went to six figures within the year. Yeah. That's because when you do nurturing right, it is immensely valuable to your audience. And why is that? Well, it's because it conveys four things to your audience that they need to have before they will buy from you. It's just a fact of marketing. They need these four things, because nurture emails let your audience know that you are credible. This is my former student, Jackie Foskett. She's a healing hypnotherapist. Now, everybody needs to be seen as credible, right? Whether you're a career coach or a dog trainer or an MFT, but it might be even more important for certain professions, such as hypnotherapy, right? So Jackie sends a regular newsletter. I got one just today. And she has used our ready to go articles and our done for you nurture email service to make it real easy for herself. But Jackie's audience knows that she is credible. The other thing that it does is shows people that you are trustworthy. You reliably send your emails, not once every 6 months, giggle, like I did in the beginning. You generously share tips and resources and helpful information. You demonstrate that you know where they are coming from. Gretchen Kian used to be my online business manager, and then she found her true calling Now she works with women using ancient wisdom and ritual and other sorts of esoteric arts for personal journey and transformation. She calls it soul midwifery, which I love. And it's very, very deep work. So she needs to be trustworthy. And her weekly nurture emails help establish that. Gretchen's audience sees her as trustworthy. The third thing that your audience needs to know about you is that you're a real human and that you care. You know, it reinforces your nurturing of them, reinforces that you care about them and that you're an authentic human being and that you are building a real relationship with them. So humanity. Now, this is Jackie Corlett. She's got an amazing business that I've loved. I first worked with her probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I'm still on her email list because she connects designers and buyers with fair trade fabric artisans out of Bangladesh. Talk about a niche business, right? She's established herself as a leader in artisan-based social business. And she also leads design and marketing workshops for fellow designers and buyers. So she's a busy gal, and she does weekly newsletters. She created them in my course, all that many years ago. And you know, a recent one had this really interesting article on recycled fiber in fabric. And she shows her humanity, I would say, in each and every newsletter. Her audience, whether they are the fair trade artisans themselves or the designers and the buyers who use the products that the artisans create, or just the people who love fabric and support fair trade. Like, they know Jackie through her newsletters, and they know that she cares. And so do others, because Jackie just received a surprise leadership award from an organization that is dedicated to sustainable fashion. So that was the third one. And the fourth thing that they need to know about you is that you're available. It sounds simple, but you know, your visibility via your nurturing, via your nurture emails, your newsletters, whatever it is that you send, it keeps you, as we say in the marketing world, top of mind. You know, it reminds current clients and past clients and prospects of your availability. And it makes you stand out from others who work with the same audience, but don't show up as often. This is Valma Brenton. She is a student that just completed one of our cohorts in our program. And I love the name of her business, Horizon Life Adventures. It's a combination of her and Horizon and Zen, because the trips that she puts on are empowering trips and adventures for women, older women. And they include sailing and wilderness and yoga. So as you can imagine, the pandemic pretty much gutted her business. They gutted most travel businesses. So she needed to stay in front of her audience. So she upped her nurture emails. And then we also devised a list building event for her that took advantage of this increased nurturing. It was a trip giveaway. And she says, I filled my trip with paying customers. I did get one winner, and she was so shocked and happy that really paid off for me. I used my social media with the only idea to move people to my email list, and it worked. The announcement to everyone already on my list brought lots of buzz too. I have set up all my nurturing emails while I'm away and having fun. So busy booking programs now. Wow, back in the game, and my bank account is in the positive for the first time since the pandemic. It feels so darn good to be playing again and getting so much more engagement with my community. Valma's nurturing consistently reminded her audience that she was there, waiting with them for COVID to be over and available at the soonest moment that it was. So to recap, nurture emails let your audience know you are credible, trustworthy, human, AKA real and caring, and available. And the bottom line to all this is that nurturing works. there's one thing you need to know, and I've alluded to this several times on Monday, I believe. If you don't want to waste your money, your time, your energy that you put into building your audience, you need to build an email list and nurture via email. So wherever your audience is, whatever you can do to attract their attention, make sure that you funnel them to your email list. Notice what Valma said here. Like you said to, I used my social media with only the idea to move people to my email list, and it worked. So if you do any social media, make sure you get them over to your email list. And why is that? It's because your email list is the most valuable online customer client lead source that you have. It's one of the biggest mistakes that small business owners make, not using email to nurture and make offers to their audience. I mean, think about it. You can be a guest on 50 podcasts. You can speak on a dozen virtual speaker summits, and you can spend big bucks on driving traffic to your website. But if you don't get people from those activities to an email list, it's almost a fully wasted effort. And why email? Well, first of all, you own your list. It might surprise some of you. Any social media that you do, the social media platform actually owns your friends and followers and connections. And your account can get shut down for any reason whatsoever. I have a friend in Canada right now who is dealing with Facebook having closed her account because somebody hacked into it and was putting child pornography on it, which is just horrendous to imagine that happening. But she can't get anybody to let her back in so that she can create a new password and et cetera, et cetera. It's a mess. And that can happen. It has happened to so many people I know, it's not even funny. You own your email list. That's the important part. And your website traffic that lands on your website for whatever activities that you do, they stick around when you give them a reason to sign up for your email list. Your reach is actually much greater and it's in your control. Do you know that on Facebook, for example, and this is true for all of them, they all work by algorithms, right? They all work as a stream of information. You might see maybe, if you're lucky, 5% of your friends' posts. And of course, that means that's how many they're seeing of yours. And the last number I saw was even lower than 5%, which is just terrible. With your email list, you're in control of when you email it and when they see your emails come in. And then with email, you can build a relationship, establish credibility over time. And because it's in your control, you have much more say over when that happens and how that happens. And honestly, you'll make more money. With expertise-based businesses, it's far easier to make money with emails than with social media posts, even social media ads. Now, there are some very product-based businesses like makeup or pots and pans, dog collars, et cetera. Those have a better chance at utilizing the advantages of ads on those platforms. But for the most part, the kind of things that we're doing fare much better on email. I want to share a kind of an embarrassing story here, but it goes to show you that everybody starts somewhere, and it's important to remember to get people to your email list. The very first opportunity that I had to make a significant dent in my email list, I think I told you I started out going to conferences and getting 100, 150 people each conference that I went to, very expensively. But this was my first opportunity to partner with somebody who had a big list, actually about 70,000 coaches, which were my ideal client. And I was so excited to get in front of those, however many people showed up to the webinar I was giving, that it completely escaped my mind I was very new at it too, and I may not have known any better, but I didn't register any of those. They didn't go into my email list at all. 500 people showed up for the webinar. That means that about 2,000 people would have probably signed up. So I made a big mistake, and it's live and learn, right? And the reason I have this photo here is because when I met with the gentleman who had this list of 70,000 coaches to propose a partnership, he happened to be at a local clothing optional resort and asked if I would meet him there. We were both clothed, just FYI, but it was a little bit awkward and a funny story. But not funny was the story of missing those people coming into my own email list. Now, marketing studies are always testing this theory about email, and there are some surveys and studies and whatnot, and I just wanted to quote two, actually three, just to let you know that this is backed up by research. So one of them, called the Channel Preference Survey, says email is not only alive, it's the #1 direct channel in terms of daily use and consumer preference for both personal and marketing communications. And then I think this is from the same study. Yeah, the DMA Consumer Tracker from 2021. 83% of consumers say email is one of their preferred methods of brand communication, with Facebook as a far second with 38%, and postal mail at 27%. So 83% of consumers say that they prefer email, and 96% of consumers check their email every day. So good news, good to know. And then this might be kind of hard to see, I hope not, but I just wanted to share it because it's so funny, but it's so true. You've got this person saying, I love your email list. And of course it's a snail, as in slow, right? But you should really post on Facebook, and you should post on, it's so small, I can't even read it, Medium and Vimeo and Musical and all these, Periscope, remember Periscope? Like all these things that for the most part have gone by the wayside. And then finally, so that's a year later, et cetera. And then it finally ends up with, it's okay, I think I'll just stick with email. And that's kind of the way it is. People keep saying, oh, email's dead. It's not, it's just not. Okay, so you get that nurturing brings immense value, and you get that you need to get people to an email list, right? I wanted to say, yes, you can nurture on social media platforms too. That is a thing to do, but your primary focus needs to be nurturing via email. So how do you do that? Well, your nurture emails have essentially 3 goals: to connect with, to delight, and to empower your audience. And you want any individual email to do at least 1 and ideally 2 of those things. So then, big question, what goes in my nurture emails? The 2 most important types of content to put in your nurture emails to achieve those goals of connecting with and delighting and empowering your audience. Well, there's a category of information, education. So that would look like resources and insights and tips in your area of expertise that would be helpful, that would be considered helpful to your audience. And then personal stories from your life, with or without metaphors and lessons. So essentially, they want to know you and they want to know what you know. That's the essence of a good nurture email strategy. And that's a good writer downer. They want to know you and they want to know what you know. So how are we doing so far? Thumbs up. We're going to get right into the exercises now. All right. So in the Your Audience, Your Way program that I teach, I have 3 really cool methods of coming up with a ton of ideas for sharing what you know with your growing audience. And I wanted to teach you one of them here and have you take a little stab at it. And then I'll do a little bit of hot seat coaching on what you came up with. So let's go through the method. So it all starts with listening to your audience. And of course, it could be listening with your eyes, right? Let's say in a Facebook group. So it's not just listening with your ears, but it's understanding what they are saying. And you're looking for some of the most common statements or questions that you hear. So I'm going to give you an example. We're going to pretend that I'm a fitness coach. I am not a fitness coach, but I'm pretty good at coming up with content. So I put myself into the mind and business of a fitness coach. And here's what I hear. I got injured, I stopped working out, and then I just couldn't get back into the workout habit. Right? So that's a comment that this fitness coach hears a lot. I got injured, stopped working out, and then I just couldn't get back into the workout habit. So then what you want to do is you want to take that comment and address it from as many angles as you can. And I'm going to show you 10, but I just want you to know that I could go on and on. I could probably come up with 100, but I just want to show you the process. So, should you work out when you're injured? You're putting yourself in the mind of the reader. So in this case, the fitness client, and you're saying, what about working out after an injury or during an injury do they need to know about? So you're coming up with these ideas. Should you work out when you're injured? 7 creative ways to work out when nursing an injury. My 5 favorite excuses for not working out, parentheses, and how to work out anyway. And one of those 5 excuses would be, I'm injured. The broken leg workout, the sprained ankle workout. You can see we could go on with the different parts of the body that typically get injured. The bad back workout. How about sitting cardio? Give your heart what it needs, even if you're injured. The top 10 myths about working out after an injury. 3 mistakes to avoid when working out after an injury. How easy should you take it after an injury? When is the right time to return to normal workouts after an injury? So you can see this is just the question was, or the comment, the frequent comment was, I got injured, I'm having a hard time getting back into it. What do I do? And these are responses to that comment. So now it is your turn. And what I want you to do is to put into the chat box, brainstorm some. First, I want to know, what is the comment that you hear from your clients? Okay, that's what I want you to put into the chat box. And then I'm going to have Chung call on a few people and we will workshop that together to see what kinds of content you might want to come up with. So what is one comment that you hear from your clients? Put that into the chat box. And then Chung, if you will just randomly select someone or however you want to do it.
All right. So many. Just make sure I can catch one.
That's hard.
It's like
flying by.
I'm just going to paste a couple and then see which one I can. All right. 1 second. Well, I'm actually having trouble trying to. I'm going to take a quick screenshot and so I can see if a couple.
You guys are doing great. I
Yeah.
love that you're making it fly by so fast that Chung is like, wait.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so we have one, which is, I am waiting for house prices to come down before I buy.
Okay, great, great. I'm waiting for house prices to come down before I buy. And can that person raise their hand? And Chung, maybe you can unmute them so I can have a little quickie conversation. I want to make sure I don't make too many assumptions. So with Meredith, is that you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's, hold on, asked to unmute. So I've just unmuted, I've asked Meredith to unmute. And Meredith, can you hear us? You're still on mute. I think she's trying to figure it out. So we can come back to Meredith when
Well,
yeah,
you
so
know what?
Meredith, we can,
For purposes of illustration, I'm just going to assume that Meredith is in real estate somehow, right? So the comment again is about waiting until, should I wait until housing prices go down?
yeah, I'm waiting for house prices to come down before I buy.
Right, okay. So then some of the responses to that comment, which I imagine is a very, very common comment, would be, and you can take it and put it through some prompts. You can look at mistakes and myths and reasons and that sort of a thing. So I would say, you know, the 5 myths about waiting to buy until the housing market, until housing prices come down, and you discuss the 5 best reasons that you have for not waiting. I would say how to make sure you get the best price for your house, even in an up market. Let's see. How to know when the market's going to turn and go back down, or something like the wording is a little clunky there, but you know, you're wanting to address this concern that the market is as high as it's ever going to get. That's the assumption underlying that kind of a comment, is that this is as high as it's ever going to get. It's never going to go higher. So that's why I should wait. So you want to address that comment. Okay, so I want to do a couple more people. So I'm just going to do 3 ideas there for Meredith. Is there another one that you can capture and isolate quickly, Chung?
Yes. Let's see. Well, we have one from I'm too small to be a victim of online content theft.
Oh, that's a great one.
So
I
I'm too
have
small to be a victim of online content theft.
that thought. Okay, so I'm your perfect audience, right? So you could start out with myths, you know, the 3 or 7 or however many myths about online content theft and why you should care. Why being small potatoes on the internet doesn't mean you won't have content stolen. And then maybe some address the solution types of things. You know, if you've had your content stolen online, what are your recourses? Your 5 best recourses, right? So that's 3. This is like one of my favorite things to do. So I could just go on and on and on, but I want to address one other person if you can, Chung.
Perfect. So this is an interesting one. My wife and I are not sleeping together anymore.
That's the comment, the frequent comment.
That's the comment. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's like an intimacy, sexual intimacy kind of a person who works with relationships in those areas. So you could start out with why your wife's not sleeping with you anymore. the top 10 reasons your wife's not sleeping with you anymore. And that's not meant to be a judgmental list. It's meant to be a compassionate list, and an eye-opening list for your readers. Maybe a how to get out of it kind of an article. If your wife's not sleeping with you, what does that mean? And the you know, the top 3 ways to get back in bed with your wife. Something like that, right?
Without turning her off.
Yeah. Thank you, Chung. I needed a male addition there. All right, great.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah. So I could spend all workshop doing that, but we need to move on. So essentially you just want to, what we just addressed was the part about they want to know what you know, right? Now let's talk about sharing you. They want to know you, right? And this is otherwise known as getting personal. So getting personal, why get personal? Why include personal information in your nurture emails? So I want to just take a quick step back. The purpose of nurture emails is for your audience to get to know you, right? To understand your credibility, your trustworthiness. They want to like you, et cetera. They want to have all that before they buy from you. And personal stories help with all of that. They help you seem more credible. They help you they help them understand that you're more trustworthy. They know that you're a human, right? So the power of human experience stories is huge because we are wired for story. You know this. We know of oral traditions that lasted for centuries, millennia. Along with mythologies across the world. There's theater, there's clowns and books and movies. It's all about our experience as humans, and we are absolutely magnetized to stories. We love hearing about other people's lives, their foibles and failures, their triumphs and tragedies, their messes and their miracles. So that's one reason to put the personal into your nurture emails, because it's attractive. It attracts attention and interest and engagement. Those emails and those parts of your emails will be the most read. It is no different for you. This may come as a surprise to you. The additional thing besides being interesting, they are part of the value that you provide. Your stories have value. They educate, they inspire, they model what's possible. They warn, they caution, they invite introspection on the part of the reader. They prompt ahas, they prompt growth. Now, this was super, super hard for me at the beginning. I'm a very private person. And for the first few years of my business, all the email that ever came out was from my business. You didn't see me in there at all. Certainly not a personal story, heaven forbid, right? That was just the way I thought, well, I'm private, I'm not going to do that. I didn't understand at the time. Now, you might remember on Monday, I told you about 2007 when I took this 2-month-long trip with my son to Europe and racked up a big credit card bill. Well, the other thing that happened is that I didn't write about my trip at all to my audience, to my, at the time, somewhat small audience. I didn't write about my trip at all. Whereas in 2011, I wrote about my trip a lot. And I enjoyed it. I discovered I enjoyed it. And it just, my business exploded. And I credit at least in part to that. Now, usually when I share personal stuff, I look for the business lessons in my personal stories. But, you know, if I were a nutritionist, for example, I'd be sharing nutrition stories and wellness lessons from my life. But sometimes I have sent just purely personal emails, like when my first dog, Tuki, died. Look at her. It was the most responded to email that I've ever sent before then and since then. So that just goes to show you, I had developed a personal relationship with my audience. They felt it and they responded back to me when I shared something so personal as my dog dying. Now, for those of you who are really into video, especially those of you whose archetype is the talent, don't worry. You don't, if writing is not your thing, you can do this nurturing in video. You just need to have a picture of your video, a little something letting people know why they should click the link and go see it. But you can put that into an email as well. So don't freak out. Now I'm going to give you some parameters for personal information, and then I have another little exercise for you to do. Oh, that was one of my maybe 4 videos in my life that I posted anywhere, hearkening back to my stories from day one. So how personal should you get in your emails? I told you already the stories of my dog dying. I also have snuck in little tidbits about my son singing and going off to college. One time I surreptitiously recorded him when he was performing in a musical, and I just put that little bit in my newsletter. So sometimes it's purely personal, right? But I have some really great examples from from some past clients. One is an artist whose husband wrote a little section for her newsletter called Husband of the Artist. And in it, he kind of dished on his wife's behind the scenes hilarity and process and all that kind of stuff. That was a nice way of getting personal without her actually writing it, right? Very clever. And then a law firm, what do we think of law firms, right? Staid, white collar, laced up. But this law firm would interview their attorneys that were, in their firm, and they would include information answering certain questions that they asked in each and every newsletter. So for example, what would you have been if you weren't an attorney? Cute. Or if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be? So people got to know those attorneys as real people, not just this caricature of what we think attorneys are. So how personal should you get? Well, pretty personal in my book. Now, is anything off limits? It depends, right? If you're a nutritionist, what you had for breakfast, great. Like, that's awesome. If you're a career coach, maybe not. What about sex? Well, if you're a sex therapist, yeah. Otherwise, maybe not. Pets, children, all that kind of stuff is fair game. Think about just your humanity and the people that you're in relationship with in your audience. They're people too. They have families, they have siblings, they have pets, they have, so not much is off limits, but just sort of depends. Now, is there any such thing as too much disclosure? I think so. And I have a story about that. When my stepfather died, my mom decided, I have a lot of years left to live, so I'm going to hire a life coach. She had only been ever married. She'd only ever been married. And so here she was facing a life on her own. And she was excited, but also scared about that. So she hired a life coach. I got on that life coach's list. I loved her emails and her newsletter. She was spunky. She was savvy. But then her newsletters took a turn, and she started talking about her marital troubles, and then she was divorcing, and then she was moving, overnight moving to Georgia, and then she 3 weeks later was moving back to Texas. And it just like you couldn't stop reading and watching because it was kind of like a slow moving train wreck.
To get started.
But it was not trust building. That's what I wanted to make sure you understood. It made me not trust that she could help. And my mom was already done working with her, so that wasn't an issue, but it meant that I never wanted to hire her. So, we all go through stuff. And I think that the best rule of thumb is talk about your gremlins and your, really challenging situations after the fact, after you've gained the wisdom that you can share with your audience. For very few people, this is not the case. Very few people have, like a few people, that is their entire brand. I am completely transparent, lock, stock, and barrel. Anything that's going on in my life, you'll know about, right? So that's some people's brand, but it's not many people's brand. And they have somehow managed to work that so that they still retain an element of trustworthiness, but that's a very challenging balancing act. So basically, talk about your gremlins after the fact, after you've gained the wisdom. Wherever you go, take your audience with you. You know, I love traveling and I love talking about my travels and writing about my travels. Other people love visiting their grandchildren or whatever. So whatever you do, wherever you go, take your audience with you. And then try as well as you can to mine your personal stories for lessons in your field of expertise. And those lessons are everywhere, everywhere. Now, this is a really bad image because the film quality was quite terrible, but this was a really funny experience surprising my mother for Mother's Day a few years back. I stayed with my sister so that, you know, normally I stay with my mom. So everything was a surprise. And I walked up to the table at the Mother's Day brunch and I pretended to be the waitress. And so I put down the menus and I asked to take her drink order. And she looked at me in the face, full in the face, and ordered a cup of black coffee and an iced tea, and then looked back to the table. She did not even recognize me. And so I wrote about that, but I discovered that it has a name and it's called perceptual blindness. And so I did an article for my audience on perceptual blindness in your business, you know, things that are right there, but you don't see them. I also wrote about getting locked inside a department store at night in Rome. The lesson being use every resource at your disposal. And I wrote about an awful hike in Crete. I love hiking, but this was the worst hike I'd ever taken because the entire 4-hour experience was over this shifty, heavy gravel that like you just could never really plant your foot anywhere. So I wrote about that. And the lessons were stop and look up every now and again, keep going, don't give up, focus on the beauty that awaits you, etc. So now it's your turn. And what I want you to write in the chat area, the chat box, is what is a juicy personal story from your life? Something that you could maybe pull a lesson from your audience, for your audience. And just put a brief description, like one sentence in the chat box. And then Chung, if you can isolate a few of those and read them, I would love to hear.
All right. Give me a sec as I pulled some up.
There's a lot of people here. It's easy to see why that thing is flying.
All right. Let's see here.
Oh, and while you're at it, while you're putting that in, if you could just say what you do, what your profession is, that maybe I can brainstorm a few lessons from your story idea. It might not work because the story, I might need to know too much about your story, but we can try.
Okay, so we have Barb. Her, I guess, one-liner story is getting stuck in a cave.
In a cave?
Correct.
Oh, that sounds good. Oh, and you know, getting stuck anywhere can make for some great articles. Like almost anybody, no matter what your profession, your clients get stuck places, right? So write about getting stuck in the cave and then draw some lessons from that about getting stuck in general.
Awesome. Another one is, Garrett, I grew up homeless most of my childhood.
Oh man, talk about a lot of lessons from that. Now, I don't know what you do, Garrett, but that sounds like you could mine that for many, many, many a lesson. Thank you.
Another one from, this one's from Daryl, getting out of debt twice.
Ooh, yeah. If you think that wouldn't be helpful for people, even if you don't work in debt reduction, like I don't know your business, but let's say you don't work in debt reduction or in finances or whatever, even if you don't, you could still use that story for so much, persistence and never saying never and finding the right mentors. And like, there just seems like there could be a gazillion jump off articles from that.
Perfect. Another one is the time I got locked in my own bedroom.
I want to hear all these stories now. You see, as you're listening to Chung read out stories from people, like, I don't know about you, but I'm already leaning in. I already want to know the story. And that's exactly what happens when your audience reads that in your emails. And you can do it either at the top of a news. If you have a newsletter that's got different sections or something, you can put just a little personal thing at the top, or you can make an entire article and nurture email out of that one story. So as much as I would love to continue on, I want to just carry on with what we're doing. Oh, I want to know all those stories. If any of you feel like it, send me on clientcare@claircommunications.com. Send me the rest of the story. Now, I know that sometimes, that can be really long and you don't have time for it, but if you feel like it, I would love to hear the rest of the story. All right, so today's homework assignment. I want you to email me this, and I'm just going to add a little bonus here. So what I want you, this is the homework. Email me that one comment that you frequently hear from clients, and then think of 2 articles that you could write based on that one comment. I know you can think of a lot more, and I encourage you to continue with that process as you're doing your homework, like continue coming up with different article ideas, but just send me 2. That's all you need to do for homework. And then a bonus would be, tell me your story. All right, and send that to clientcare@claircommunications.com with the subject line, homework. Now submit it by 9 a.m. Pacific on Friday. That's Monday's homework and today's homework. Both need to be in by 9 o'clock Pacific time on Friday in order for you to be eligible for the grand prize drawing. Okay. So we have been talking about this importance of nurturing. When you don't nurture, you don't sell, or you don't sell well, or maybe you don't sell at all, right? It's that important. And I want to tell you a really powerful story about nurturing. This is Suzanne Evans. Some of you probably know her. She's an amazing business coach. But when she first started out, she had a side hustle while she was a secretary for Broadway production company, right? So she had her side hustle. She had at the time a list of 528 people. And she had been nurturing them, writing articles every week for about a year when this experience happened. She went to a conference where, it was one of these multi-day conferences with a leader, trainer. And at the end of a few days, just short of the weekend that was coming up, the trainer said, okay, I have a challenge for you guys, a contest actually. And he said, I want you to come up with a brand new product or program or whatever that you have never offered before. And I want you to offer it to your audience, whatever your audience is. And then the person who sells the most by Sunday evening wins $5,000. So Suzanne is nothing if not competitive. So she went off and, came up with her offer and sent out 4 emails over the course from about Friday afternoon to Sunday evening. She sent 4 emails. And she made $12,000 and she won the prize. So she actually made 17 because she got the extra 5 for winning. So the point of that is not that Suzanne had, the best of anything. It's that Suzanne had been nurturing. She had been nurturing that audience for a year, because nurturing the relationship bonds people to you and makes them receptive to your offers. But there's a little danger that I wanted to warn you about, little thing to be on the lookout for. And it's a trap that I've seen a lot of solopreneurs fall into. You know, it feels really good to nurture, especially when you first start doing it. And, you know, it just feels like, wow, I really am building this relationship. I really am providing great value. I feel really good about myself. I feel good about this experience. Feels good to develop a relationship with my audience. But it's possible to get so into nurturing that you forget that there's an important final part to the formula for online audience business success. It's the selling part. It's the making offers part, right? It's creating ways to support your people and put money in your pocketbook. And that's what holds a lot of people up from making money with their online audience. Lots of times people just don't make offers because they don't know what to sell, or they aren't aware of all the options. They don't know how it fits in with their business. You know, there are a lot of those kinds of questions combined with that feeling of, oh, I just nurture everybody. So that's why Suzanne made money with her 528 person list, not only because she had nurtured them so well, but because she made them an offer, right? So that is what we're going to be talking about on Friday, and I don't want you to miss it. So day one was about building your audience. Today, day two was about nurturing them, and day three is about the money part. So I really want you to be here on Friday. Same bat time, same bat station. And I also want to acknowledge sort of a fact of reality for a lot of people related to this nurturing that we've been talking about. Sometimes, I love this picture. It reminds me so much of when my son was little. Sometimes you run out of time to do all this nurturing. So in a few minutes, I'm going to show you a way that you can get free help with that. So remember this list from Monday. If you weren't here on Monday and you didn't see the replay, this is a partial list of all the things that it feels like we are being shouted at to do to build our audience. And I find that people fall into two camps with that. Either I try to be everywhere online, but really nothing's working all that well, and you're stretched really thin trying to do everything, or it all seems so overwhelming, so you end up not doing anything. But there's actually a third camp, and that is finding the way or ways that work for you. You know, attracting your audience your way means that you can stick with just a few simple audience building strategies, even just one, literally, because that's all you need. So I want to tell you about two of my current clients. Well, yes, they're current because their program has just finished. So the cohort has just finished with the training part, and now they're in the 8 months of additional support. Susan Francis is a former social worker who now works as an intuitive coach and animal communicator. She works on with an online platform, delivering her services in that way. And there are certain restrictions about what she can and can't do vis-a-vis her own business. But it's not impossible. And that's her intention, is to build her own clientele, primarily in the animal communications part. And she wants to do it while not alienating the platform. The other thing to know about Susan is that she cares deeply, deeply about society and downtrodden, and especially right now about the war in Ukraine. And she's really moved to help with animals in that area. So what we did was, it was so exciting. We have come up with an event. It's a very cool and unique giveaway event, not like the typical kind of online giveaways, but the intention is to help animals in Ukraine, to help organizations that help animals in Ukraine. And it does that while promoting local business, while growing her own list. And we added a 90-minute session that she's going to give away so that as many people as possible can experience her doing animal communication sessions. So it not only adds to her list, but it raises her visibility. And she's going to be doing this initially in her local community, and then take it national, and then take it global. But the fundraising part is definitely for Ukraine. Now, the effort is in its final stages before it launches, but I just wanted to share this with you because this is the kind of coaching that I do with my students in class. It's one of my favorite ways is to say, okay, who are you? What are you all about? And then let's figure out what's going to work best for you to build your audience and to build a strong foundation for growing your business. And then, one second, I get so excited I forget to drink. This is another one of my just recently graduated from the training part of my program, Rabbi Daniel Grunwald, if I say it right. And he has gone from, well, let me just tell you a little bit about him. He is a dispute resolution practitioner, I guess you'd say, or expert, and he has clientele primarily in the London area in the UK. And his two main topic areas that I discovered after questioning him a lot was marriage and divorce disputes and business disputes. Now, the cool thing is that he works exclusively within the very highly focused niche of the Orthodox Jewish community and within the Orthodox Jewish legal structures. So he thought for a long time, and I kept working at him, but he thought that he was only going to be able to build his business locally, because that's how he was used to working with people one-on-one. And also he just didn't think that he could take it anywhere else because the Jewish legal structure, sometimes the laws change by country, or they have to, relate themselves to other countries' laws. And so he just was thinking, oh, the laws are too different. I just need to stick with what I do here. And I really wanted him to expand his mind, and he finally got it. He finally saw the light and saw how he could take his business globally, because it's a much easier. He's going to have a much easier experience finding and tapping into his community because it is such a very it's a very clear niche, Orthodox Jews around the world. So what we came up with was a group coaching program for his marriage clients. He's going to keep his business dispute resolution clients as sort of a bespoke one-on-one service, but he's going to pull out his wisdom on marriage and divorce disputes within the Orthodox Jewish tradition, the wisdom that is not specific to certain legal structures, right? So he can now tap into Orthodox Jewish communities around the world for his groups on people within those communities who are either considering divorcing or are in the midst of it or are wanting to prevent it. So he's got loads and loads of programs that he's going to be able to create. The other thing that I wanted, that's another example of, of our coaching. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that using one of my methods, I call it my Jumpstart list building method. He actually realized that he had, I think it's more than this, but because I don't think he was finished compiling his list, but he had at least 500 on his Jumpstart list to begin with. So that was really cool. And sometimes that happens. You don't realize that you have a list, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have 500 people. I have 600 people. It's a good way to start. The point is that there is no one right way to build an audience. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that there's one right way for everybody to use. For me, the key is to find the platform and the method or methods that feel fun and energizing for you. one that you can do and enjoy consistently and for the long term, and one that lets you build momentum and see real results. You really, truly, truly don't have to mess around with techniques and strategies that just aren't a fit for your skills and your personality. So yeah, you could definitely figure this out on your own. You could use trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. And you know that that could take years. You already know that. And what I'm inviting you to do is to lean into my years of experience and my years of trial and error to help you get there faster. So I would love for you to join my program, Your Audience, Your Way, and I can guarantee your success in 1 year. So in this program, which is going to start on May 12th, it goes May 12th to September 10th, I believe is the very last activity and day that we have in our training program. It's a program where you will add at least 1,000 subscribers to your list, plus have a robust system in place to continue adding people, new and eager people to your list, and then converting them into clients without having to force yourself to use platforms or do activities that aren't you, that you feel icky doing, etc. And all this within 1 year, and it's guaranteed. It is a very highly methodical step-by-step. Like sometimes you hear this, people say it's a step-by-step program, and it's not really a step-by-step, but this one is really step-by-step. And it's something that is highly appreciated by my students. But the 5 essential, the bigger level steps are to know exactly who you're serving, and we spend time on that. We lay the right foundations. Then we do the attraction part because we're ready to attract people. Then we nurture loyalty and engagement. And then we learn about making irresistible offers. And all of that in process will set you free in your business. Now, this is for anybody who is either starting from scratch, like beginning your business, wanting to know where to start, or beginning to bring your business online for the first time. Or maybe you've been in business for a while, but have that kind of unresponsive list that needs a little bit of love and attention. Whether you love or hate social media, or whether you have been working really hard at your audience building, but seem to be stuck at a small list that won't grow. And so if you're ready to ramp up, ready to, have that freedom, get to that freedom point, ready to start earning more money and impacting more people's lives, this is where I want you to be. We will cut through chaos. We'll cut through overwhelm to find the best way for you to reach and attract and serve the perfect audience for your business. Now, I will show you my 3 fail-proof techniques to clearly identify the perfect audience for your business, for your personality, for your vision, so that not knowing is never again a reason that you can't move forward. You will discover how to leverage your personal audience attraction archetype that we talked about on Monday, every step of the way in building your audience, so that your system is a customized one that truly feels like you and becomes something that you want to do, that you enjoy doing rather than you resent doing. Because the math is like this: when it's simple and it's aligned with who you are, then it's enjoyable. And when it's enjoyable, it's doable. And when it's doable, you'll be more consistent at it. And when you are consistent at something, what happens? You get results. I'm going to show you how to easily create the 3 super non-negotiable foundational elements that you have to use to add people to your audience, or to create new and upgraded ones so that they work better, so that you are ready when we start attracting those floods of people. My templates and step-by-step guidance make this a process that just can't be confusing anymore. You just can't be confused. You can only be confident. And I mentioned with Danielle, with Rabbi Grunwald, the 3-part jumpstart process. So we're going to go through that. You'll learn that and do that. So you'll either have a great jumpstart with your initial list or a growth spurt in your existing list, and then be able to, heat up those subscribers right away so you don't waste any time. There's also a library here of 20 plus step-by-step attraction instruction sheets so that you can select the list building platforms and activities that most resonate with you. So that with these instruction sheets and my guidance, you'll always know exactly what you're doing, and you can confidently ignore the rest. You can stick your fingers in your ears and go la, 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 and not feel any FOMO. I'll teach you my 4 exclusive methods to connect with your audience. Actually, I've already taught you one today, so you'll get my others. And you'll connect with them so deeply that they'll raise their hand to get into your products and your programs. And you won't have to do that sort of yucky, sleazy feeling selling. You'll create a plan to serve and help your audience at every stage of your relationship, so that your interactions are always valuable and always generous and always authentically you. You're going to learn the 3-step process to monetizing your audience for maximum impact. And you also get some plug and play promotional email templates to send. Yahoo! This essential step allows you to finally increase your income, control your hours, and really set yourself free. And perhaps the most valuable of all, I'm going to help you finally cut through the fear, the doubt, and the self-sabotage that often hold people back. Working within my structure, you're going to feel empowered to act, motivated to continue, fully supported all the way. Megan is one of she was in my cohort 2 cohorts ago. She says, from this course, I've become much more strategic in how I approach my business marketing. I understand better the components I need for a successful marketing strategy and how they interact. Before this course, I was trying one thing out here and another thing out there, but my tactics never came together into a real strategy. Now I know how to figure out which tactics to test and how to put it all together. It's still very much a work in progress, but this course took me leaps and bounds from where I was when I started it. So again, you're going to add at least 1,000 subscribers to your list, plus have this robust system in place to continue adding audience members into the future and converting them into clients. And you get to do that without forcing yourself to do all this stuff that you just can't do. And it's a guaranteed outcome. And the cost is only $197 a month for 9 months. You can also pay in full if you prefer, save a little bit of money up front. And the place to join is youraudienceyourway.com/join. Now, so what about this guarantee that I've been mentioning, that I guarantee your results? I'm actually really confident in what I'm teaching. So I back that up with a results-based guarantee. 1,000 followers or double your money back guarantee. You come to class, you do the work, you come to me if you're struggling, do what I suggest, and we keep at it until you're on track. But if it doesn't work, we'll give you double your money back. Now, if you truly hit the ground running, you can get to your 1,000 followers during our 4 months together. But if laying the foundations takes a little bit longer, which it often does, that's fine, because the guarantee is good for an entire year. Iggy, I love Iggy and her name. Iggy and Megan, actually, who I just mentioned a moment ago, Iggy and Megan were 2 out of 4 people that got together to create their own giveaway event. So Iggy says, Linda does a great job of listening to what I'm working on and helping me clarify my ideas so they are practical and focused, whether it's a big picture offering or the detailed copy editing of a headline. And that's true. Before Linda's program, my business had several cobbled together pieces, like a website freebie that didn't serve me or my audience well. Now I have a well thought out freebie and nurture sequence that provide actual value to my people. And it's something they tell me they enjoy. I was doing things because I thought I should be doing them without knowing why, but now my business is more organized and feels more professional and authentic, and my audience is growing. And she's actually being modest. The giveaway that she and her colleagues did got her just shy of 1,000 new audience members in one event. So she's doing pretty good. Just the practical things. We have 16 weeks of live training. You always have lifetime access to the class recordings if you can't make them. Step-by-step guides showing you the simplest way to get quick results with the most common audience building methods. And that includes the social media platforms and the other people's networks types of activities so that you have what you need to create and implement your custom list building plan. Now for the technology, if the technology is a little freaky for you, there is step-by-step video instruction. It's almost like paint by numbers so that you don't get stuck on any technology. I have action assignments every class to keep you on track and focused on the highest leverage activities and opportunities. There are exclusive worksheets and templates and checklists and done for you content, lots and lots of done for you content. And one thing that I really love is our 5 Get It Done days. These are days when we get together. They're always on a Saturday. We get together, we call in, everybody commits to something they're going to be working on for the next few hours. And then as we work individually, we hold each other, energetically so that everybody knows that they're not just working alone. And then we check in to see how we did, commit to what we're going to do next. And then at the end of the day, we celebrate. So having these means that you never fall behind in class and that you keep getting things done so that you keep moving forward. Our weekly coaching is where a lot of the magic happens. You get to ask questions and get support and share wins and get unstuck and get feedback, not just from me, but from others, and then overcome any kind of roadblocks in your way. But it's important that you understand that the coaching is where it's at, because information is attainable in a lot of different ways. It's the strategy and the working things through. It's really hard to do business, especially online business, by yourself and not have feedback and not have input. So this is that support for you that's really super important for me to give. And it doesn't stop when our training stops. You actually get monthly coaching calls after training stops for 8 entire months. Now, I don't know if some of you know Kendall Summerhawk. She's a friend and somebody that I've known for a long, long time. And she says, "Thank you, Linda, for first inspiring us, then consulting to show us exactly how to grow our list by over 10,000 people. Your advice and expertise are priceless, and you made the process simple, fun, and easy." Now, I told you that I was going to show you how to get the nurturing part of this for free, some help with nurturing for free. And this is how. As a bonus to joining the program, you get 24 ready-to-go articles. A lot of people find it really difficult to write engaging content to their subscribers, content that their subscribers find valuable, et cetera, et cetera. Like they find it difficult either because they just don't like writing. It's like, I'd rather have my tooth pulled, or it's because I'm so busy working on building my audience that I don't have time to do that part, right? Whatever it is. And the other thing, people take a long time to write sometimes. I'm a really long writer. It takes me a long time. And I have friends that just whip things out. So if it's you that takes a long time writing, it can be 5 hours, 8 hours, whatever, to just do one article. So think about the time that you save. With 24 already written articles, you can just sit down and spend 10 minutes editing them. You have our permission to edit them as much or as little as you like, and then just plop them right into your email service provider. And there you go, you're nurturing. You could save like 120 plus hours. That's, I think, 5 If you took 5 hours to do one article, that adds up to about 120 hours. If you take longer to do your writing, then it could be even more. You could save up to 200 hours. So that's a significant amount of time savings for you, especially if you don't like to write or you find it challenging. Now, there are more than 600 articles at your disposal. They are on topics like workplace issues, business building, relationship topics of all kinds, productivity, mindset, wellness, self-care, personal growth, leadership, career change, and tons more. So while you're working on the audience building, you can let the nurturing part be easy. And these are packages that we sell on the website for $997. So you get that completely free. So that is one bonus. And then the second bonus, I'll say a little bit more about that next on our Friday session, but basically, how nice is it to have somebody to say yes or no, like yes, do that, or no, don't do that, or that's not going to work, whatever. That's what the second, this is a boot camp only bonus. So if you join from either being here live or from having watched the recordings while they are available, then you will qualify for this boot camp only bonus. And that is a session with me. After you've made it through a certain point in the course, you'll have your plan. We'll get together and I'll go over it and we'll figure out if that's exactly the right thing for you to do, or if something else needs to be added, whatever. You'll get my stamp of approval eventually. So again, www.youraudienceyourway.com/join and build an audience your way that will grow your business and set you free for life's adventures. $197 will get you started. So that's $197 for 9 months, or you can pay in full right now for $1497. When you build it your way without all the overwhelm and uncertainty and confusion and maybe guilt that you're not doing it right or whatever, when you build it with me, what you discover is that your audience grows and your audience sets you free. Free to fill your program, sell out your products and your services, to send emails that people respond to and buy things right away, put money in your pocketbook. Free to hang out more with family, grandkids, kids, spend the rest of the day with them. Free to travel the world if you want, experience new cultures and adventures because your audience supports you. Free to create the lifestyle that you've always wanted for yourself, for your partner, for your kids, for your future. Now, I just wanted to end with this slide. This is another experience that I had that I wrote about, another personal experience that I wrote about and made some metaphorical lessons out of it. So this was Norway in January, waiting in the cold and dark for the northern lights to appear. And there was a series of takeaways from this experience that I talked about in regards to business. You plan, you prepare, you invest, you connect, you wait, you trust, you celebrate. And it occurred to me as I was looking at, different photos for my slides, I came across this one. I was like, oh yeah, there was that article. And I thought that's exactly what is happening here. In our program, you will plan, you will prepare, you are investing in yourself and your business. You are connecting with your audience. You are waiting for the right and opportune time to make your offers. You trust in the process. You trust in the work that you're doing. And then when it works, you celebrate. So that's what I would love for you to be part of with me and with the others who are joining the program. Again, www.youraudienceyourway.com/join. $197 gets you started. $1497 saves you a little bit of money. And don't forget today's homework. I want you to be in that. I want you to have a double entry in the grand prize drawing. And here it is again, just to remind you, and then we will open up for questions. So your homework today is email me one comment that you hear frequently from clients, like the exercise that we did, and then 3 topics that you could write about based on this comment. Okay, send it to clientcare@claircommunications.com subject line homework, and submit it by 9 a.m. Pacific on Friday to be entered into the grand prize drawing. And that's Friday, how to monetize and how to get cool glasses like that. So let's open this up for questions.
Thank you, Linda. That was great. All right. All right, so we have a question on from earlier. When do we need to sign up in order to get the consultation with you?
The last day for that is May 1st, midnight. That's Sunday, just FYI, Sunday.
Okay. And what results can someone expect from this program besides, getting 1,000?
You knew that was what I was going to say. Well, that's the promise. The results are going to be based on what you put into it, obviously. But I've had people join the program and not be able to attend all of the course, all of the trainings, all of the modules right away. And they'll get back into it in a few months and they're still working the program, right? It's better if you can work it while you have access to me live and in person during our coaching sessions. But everything that you do in life is dependent on what you put into it. So I would say that there's a lot more than just 1,000 new subscribers waiting for you.
Okay, got it. So someone did ask about the kind of what benefits can they expect from 1,000 followers, and I think what they're trying to ask is like what can they do with 1,000 followers to, generate income or revenue or clients?
1,000 is kind of a tipping point. There are ways to participate. A lot of online events have minimum list requirements, and there are ways to get around that, but it becomes a lot easier when you have 1,000. You have all of a sudden demonstrated to people that you might be asking to interact with or do things with. You've demonstrated that you're serious. You're serious about this list building thing. A lot of people have businesses that they're not growing their audience, and it's just it always befuddles me, how they could be in business and clearly not doing the steps of building their audience. So you will have demonstrated to people like me that you're serious about your business and about growing your audience, and that opens doors for you.
Thank you. Paulette is asking, what if we're looking to? Paulette is looking for more 100 perfect clients, and and doesn't need 1,000 clients, and so she wants to know how applicable this is for high ticket programs.
Right. So that's a very good thing for me to clarify. I'm promising that you will get 1,000 people on your subscriber list, on your email list. I'm not promising that you're going to get 1,000 clients, right? People have different timing for their lives and for the work that they're going to do with you. They may be on your list for 5 years before they actually buy something from you. But it's important to have a big enough pool of people so that you can fill the VIP slots that you have, right? If you have a list of 50 people and you have 10 VIP slots that you want to fill, that's going to be a harder thing than if you had 1,000, right? To find the people to pay the high ticket prices, to the premium prices, you want to have a much bigger pool.
Got it. We have a question on how does the nurturing system work for a fiction writer, for example?
How does the nurturing system work for a fiction writer?
Correct.
I think probably the way I would go about coaching this person would be that I would try to determine, what is your goal as a fiction writer? Is it just to sell books? Or is there something else on top of that that you might want to be doing with your business? You know, sometimes books are the thing, but it's rare that people make a living just on their books. So what else is there that we can build a business on in addition to writing the books, right? So that's where I would start with coaching that person. And then, you know, there's so many different directions that could go based on what the answers are, that I kind of hesitate, because I could spew 5 different scenarios, but it might not be helpful.
Got it. Now, what if someone's not good with technology?
Yeah, if you're not good with technology, first of all, know that I'm not great with technology either, and I have only learned what I have needed to learn. And so I've got, you know, Elizabeth, who's our behind the scenes goddess, is fantastic at technology, and she answers everybody's questions. She's also, she and I together, but mostly Elizabeth, has created some step-by-step technological videos showing you, you know, if you're going to set up your email service provider, here's step 1, and then you do this, right? So it's very, very, as I said, paint by numbers, the technology part. And then the other thing is that I'm connected with an agency that, like, I've been looking for this for so many years of my business life. I've had virtual assistants before, but it's really nice to have an agency full of talented virtual assistants and people specializing in certain online marketing techniques and processes that you can rely on and count on. And I finally found them. So I can always connect you with that agency to, you know, so that you can get additional assistance. It's nice to know a little bit, at least, of what's supposed to happen, even if you don't end up doing the technology yourself. It's nice to know what it's supposed to be doing for you so that you can direct people. But there are certainly ways around technology phobias.
Great. So one question we had is, this person is wondering if they have to write emails every week because they don't like writing or communicating that much. And so what's kind of your advice or suggestion for people that to build their audience without having to write emails every week?
So the writing the emails every week is more about the nurturing rather than the building. So let's just say that there are a variety of things that you can do to build your audience, and then you start emailing them. So if the emailing them is the part that's objectionable, then that is something that you can take care of by, you know, by doing a video instead of writing, or you can find somebody else to write some things for you. You know, you have a short little conversation. I know a colleague of mine just, he can't write and can't stand writing. So he just dictates things, passes it off to an editor who kind of whips it into shape. So there are a variety of techniques to get around that. I'm big about getting around things, if you haven't noticed.
And plus there's the 24 ready to go articles.
Yes, that too. Yes.
So if they
there's an awful lot that you don't have to do that can be done for you.
Got it. Paulette's asking, so are we learning both building a list and nurturing the list? And
absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Building it, nurturing it, and monetizing it.
Got it. So is there anything that I should have asked but haven't, that you think would be valuable for the rest of the listeners to hear? Just so that if they want to do this program, that, you know, they're going to set themselves up for success.
Yeah, I think that's the most important message that I have for you, is if this is something that has been kind of over here or over here in your brain, that like, I know I need to be doing that, then this is a really good opportunity for you to finally take that step and do it. It's not going to go away just because you don't start working on it. Like the need for an online audience is not going to go away just because you haven't started working on it yet. So take this step. The level of support that you get, both from me and from the community of people who join, is really significant. And so I encourage you to, to join. I think it's a good thing to do for you and your business.
So I guess I have a question, which
Sure.
I think a lot of people is that should I just wait? Should I wait and join, later on? Because some people are asking when you offer this again, and
Right.
what's kind of the pros and cons, or maybe just a summary of like if
Well,
yeah.
I want everybody to understand that this is the last time this year that we'll be offering this course. And we haven't decided yet whether we're offering it again next year or the year after that, right? So I definitely know we're not offering it again this year. So I would, unless you want to wait another year, not having an audience, not having a process in place, I would get to it right now with this one.
Okay. That makes sense.
One more?
Yeah, Eva asked, is there actually a few people asked if you'll be able to review some of their materials, whether it's emails or articles they write or things that they edit. Is that part of the program as well?
Yes, I can't review every single thing that every single person does, but I do review a lot. And the other thing is that your fellow classmates will also review. So you'll get plenty of input and feedback. It's so much better than trying to come up with things on your own and hoping that they're good enough, but not really being certain. You're much better off being in a program where you're bound to get feedback.
Got it. And so once somebody signs up, what can they expect immediately after they sign up?
The first thing you can expect is an email with confirmation that you're in. And then you'll receive a series of a few emails between now and the beginning of our class. We meet the very first time on May 12th, which is an orientation session. And then the actual training classes begin the following week. We meet on a Tuesday for training sessions and Thursday for coaching sessions every week. And I believe we have the week of July 4th off, whatever those dates are, whatever week that July 4th falls on, that week we have off. So we take a little bit of time off and use that as a time to catch up or whatever.
Perfect. Thank you, Linda.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to everyone too. And I really hope that you'll come back on Friday and let's talk about this monetization piece. It's a super important, obviously we're in business to make money, right? So let's talk about that. Thanks everyone. And I will see you on Friday.